Hello and welcome to Uptown Tonight. It is December 28th of 2022. Probably our last one of 2022. But then again, tomorrow night we are redoing last week's podcast because I apologize for that sound. I have no clue what happened there. I went through everything and anything and tried to replicate it. I couldn't get to do it unless I was like screaming like, ah! I wasn't doing that shit though. But, so I apologize for last week's. We're definitely bringing them back on to tomorrow. So, I am your host, Mr. Wayne Stallenfacher, and this is the Uptown Tonight Podcast, where we do believe a rising tide does raise all ships, and we're here trying to do our part without the FM area entertainment community. So, today we have Mr. Danny Virchow, the Chow, the one and only, man. I've been waiting to do this for a long time, because definitely this is, when I started this thing, you were definitely one of my top 10 that I really wanted to bring in. But I wanted to make sure that I was actually kind of decent at it before I even brought you in.
Well, you're doing great.
Like,
dude, your show is this whole thing is super legit, and you saved the worst for last this year, trust me.
Yeah, okay. So me just going, but, this is, that's how it goes. So, before we get to him, I got to talk about me just for a moment because I'm boring. And we just have to do that. And we do have Uptown merch nowadays. Oh, you can come down and get your Uptown t-shirts. You got to get those off the stage. We do not have them online as of yet because I just haven't quite got to that point. So come in and find us. Let's see, we're at the windbreak in a couple of weeks again.
Is that dog for sale too?
And that is my little puppy. It was about a year ago. That's old Zebras.
You
heard him barking on the way in. I saved you from that torment.
But can you get like an autographed photo from the pooch?
You probably could. He would love
Put it on the shop, dude.
He would love to do that. And there's Cito with old Junior there, sporting our Uptown merch there right off the stage. So Cito giving them all a hug. And then there's ZB's, as he looks like today, supporting our troops. My son's in the military at the moment, so please go out and support those troops. And that's all I got for this week. We haven't really done anything for 2 weeks. We are playing New Year's Eve and all that fun stuff. But
where are you playing on New Year's Eve?
That's a private party. I think it's a wedding, possibly.
So a private party that I'm not invited to.
Well, I don't think you want to drive out there. I think that would be the whole thing.
Hey, man, I drive all across this world. It can't be too far. Where is it at?
Oh, put me on the spot. I have no idea.
Fair enough.
I just get in the bus.
Well, if you haven't seen his band, you got to check out his band. They are great. I've seen them several times, and I always mean to say hello, but I never get a chance to.
I appreciate that, Chow. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We definitely put in the work. So let's learn a little bit about Chow tonight. See, where did Chow come from and everything else? I kind of think that you're from South Dakota, but I might be completely off on that. Oh, I did remember something. Holy crap. Because I haven't talked to this guy probably a decade. I'm going to guess somewhere in that area.
No, it's been at least 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
Probably.
I believe that.
Because to my surprise, driving here tonight, I was like, wait a minute. This is the old practice space. We used to be in a band together years and years ago, back when we were just little boys.
Yeah, back in those
just
days.
Kids. Just full of fire, motivation, had the world in front of us, and then it all fell apart.
Like every good story.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, we used to be in a band together, and I loved it. And this was our practice space, and now it has become this immaculate studio. And you've done a great job with this place. This is super legit. This is really cool.
Appreciate it. No, it's a work in progress. That's all I can say.
Well, it's a good work in progress, and I think that if you get the opportunity to come check this out, you totally should. And I think that the sky's the limit for your show here. We haven't even done the show, and I'm already singing your praises like this is the end. But this is a super authentic setup, and you said it when I walked in, like, why aren't more people doing this? And even if they were, I don't know if they could do it as well as you, because this is a great setup.
I just got to do it. So the whole thing is a lot of this stuff. There was a learning curve on this thing. I just remember going on the Facebook myself, and then actually just taking that step where you tell people that something's about to happen, so you hold yourself to the fire. And then for the next 2 weeks, I've rebuilt this computer 3 times, figured out all the microphones and all that fun stuff. You just got to do it. And you figure it out as you go along. There's a lot of YouTube videos now that'll help you out.
Nike had it right. Just do it.
Exactly. But Chow, so you're from South Dakota. Let's hear about you.
I grew up on a farm outside of Willow Lake, South Dakota, a very small community. 13 people in my graduating class. One of them was a foreign exchange student. And then I went to South Dakota State University for college. Go Jacks! They're going to take taking down the Thundering Turd. What is it, next weekend?
That
in
is
beautiful
next weekend.
Frisco, Texas. Shout out to my man Matt. He's going to the game. I wish I could go with you, brother. But yeah, I went to SDSU, and the whole reason I came up here to Fargo was actually because my buddy who grew up in Willow Lake, you know, a small town too, I used to jam with him in high school, and he was living up in Fargo, and he told me that Motorhead was going to be in town. And they're playing they're playing at the venue at the Hub, which was a great club that used to be in Fargo. R.I.P. And he's like, hey man, you should come up for that show. And I was like, sweet, let's check it out. And I came up here, and it was the loudest thing I'd ever heard in my life. It was so loud. But at this point,
meant for you.
Oh yeah, we are Motorhead and we play rock and roll. But at that point in time, I was like a senior in college, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I was a lost soul like everybody else. And
what were you majoring in then?
I was majoring in broadcast journalism.
Oh, interesting.
But it wasn't like radio, which I would later get into. It was TV journalism. So, and I had long hair at the time, and I remember they asked us if we had any kind of long hair or anything that they deemed unacceptable for TV news, that we had to clean it up and get a haircut. And I said no.
That's gross.
So I switched my major to news editorial journalism, so like newspaper stuff. Yeah, that got me a long ways. But that's actually what I graduated with, was a news editorial journalism and a couple minors. But anyway, I needed an internship to graduate. And I had no idea what I was going to do, because Brookings is tiny. There was nothing in my field to do other than work for a newspaper, and I didn't want to do that. So I heard a commercial on Q98 when I was coming to the Motorhead show that they were looking for summer interns. And I was like, that sounds cool. I don't know how I'll make it work, but whatever. And yeah, I called them up, and they're like, why do you want this job? I was like, I need an internship. And everyone else in that field was like from Fargo. So they welcomed me in, and I stayed at my buddy's place that summer. And I went back to school for my last semester, and I called them up after the fact, the radio station, Q98, and asked them if they had anything available. And they said no. They said that they could give me a 7-hour-a-week part-time job for minimum wage. And I said, you know what? It's better than the 0 other options I have, so let's do it. So I moved to Fargo for a 7-hour-a-week job.
Wow, man, that is just doing it right there.
Just do it, man. That's the motto of tonight.
Theme, exactly.
But yeah, then you know, I got into radio, and I was just doing like promotions for like all of these different radio stations, country and pop and classic rock. But I really wanted to be on the rock station, and twist of fate, certain people decided to move on to other jobs, and I got to move up. They believed in me, and they gave me a shot, and they started doing on-air radio stuff, and I did that for 5 years, full-time on the radio. Rest in peace, Q98. It was a great station, lasted like not 60 years, but like 40 years, probably, something like that. It was one of the oldest rock stations in the country at the time. And then myself and Gunner Has No Guns created Q1051, which is a station here in Fargo. It's still rocking away. One of the only legit rock stations in the country. It's a sad fact that when you go to other cities, there's not like rock stations.
Oh,
it stinks.
Yeah, it does. It's just how the format's just changing these days. You know, no one's really paying attention to the radio. I don't even know if are the 13-year-old girls still doing that thing. Because I know that used to be like the big deals, that if you can get in with a 13-year-old female crowd, that's usually how you got yourself in.
Well, I was never trying to get it in with the 13-year-old.
Well, I hope not.
No, I don't know. And I still work at radio part-time.
Okay.
Actually, that's getting way ahead of ourselves. If we're going in the timeline, linear timeline here, but I worked at Q1051 for 5 years, and I still think radio is very viable. Radio does get results, trust me, because when you say something people don't like, they will let you know.
Talk me into it.
Yeah, right. I mean, you know, you're out here doing the podcasting, like there's still something about the radio. And in the world of everything costing a lot of money, it's still free, which
yes,
there's a lot to say about that these days. But the world of radio is very not what you'd think it would be. I always think back to like the movie Airheads.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, and they like break into the rock station, and like to me, that's like what rock radio was. Is like anything can happen at any time. And then once you get into it, you're like, oh, this is just a business, like everything else. You know, you can't just like get a song from a local band and like willy nilly go play it. Like,
exactly.
It's got to go through certain things, certain filters, and there's a sales staff, and you have to work together, but the sales staff and the on-air talent like never really see eye to eye, and it's just a weird dynamic. So radio was never exactly what I hoped it would be, but I still got to meet all of my favorite bands, which was just blowing my mind because I grew up a metalhead, you know, on a farm in South Dakota. So getting to like my first year in radio, getting to meet bands like Opeth and Lamb of God and Machine Head, In Flames, like the world is so big when you're growing up out in the country, and like these bands from Sweden that I admired growing up are right here with me, and I have the opportunity to ask them anything I want. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Jealousy right here.
Oh, but it was the best. And honestly, it only took 1 year of being in radio full time for me to be able to meet like all of my heroes. Devin Townsend, my first radio interview ever, and he's one of my favorite musicians. And I was like, man, I already feel like I've like satisfied my whatever desire I had in radio, which I never had one in the first place, but like I feel like I already accomplished all my goals. So I was kind of on a downward trend for a long time, but I still love radio, and I got a different job, and now I've come back to radio because I do like it, and I love the events and the concerts, and I want to be a voice that brings people out to shows and even local bands and everything, you know. I love having the opportunity to play those songs if they send them in and we get the green light to do that, and I love going out to the shows and doing photography at them and everything like that. But yeah, radio is an interesting thing, and a lot of people, when I started over 10 years ago, said like, this is a dead format, it's going nowhere, and it certainly has changed a lot. But in my perspective, I guess, I don't think it's changed that much in the last 10 years. I mean, there's a lot of money going through radio still.
Oh, interesting.
It really is, you know, the sales and...
Oh, with someone like you, it's more about just being out in the community and being able to promote the community.
Oh yeah, I basically do it for nothing nowadays. I'm part-time, and I just enjoy doing it, and I love rock music, and I like sharing rock music and everything that goes with that world to people who are interested in it, and just going out to the concerts. And there's nothing better than going to a concert and you're going to some obscure like weird international metal band, right? And you think like, God, I listen to these guys all the time, but am I weird? Does anyone else listen to this? And then you go to the show and like all these like-minded people that are into the same thing as you. That's why I love it. And I love introducing people to new bands, and I like being introduced to new bands. So it's just a cycle, and radio, I guess, just lives on in my world these days. Some way, somehow.
Awesome. The radio chant of the night.
Yeah, big proponent of radio. But through radio,
yeah,
I got into like photography and everything. I actually got into photography pretty much from my mom, because she worked at a newspaper when I was growing up.
Oh.
And she was going into the darkroom and stuff, like doing that kind of photography. So it was just like part of my life that I never was like involved with because I was just a little kid, but it was always something that fascinated me because I'd like see the newspaper and be like, oh, my mom took this picture. That's cool. I just always thought that was really neat because this was like pretty pre-internet still. And, you know, you just didn't have the world at your fingertips. So when someone around you created something, they were just, you know, a creator. And that was really cool. So then when I was like in high school or college, my mom got like a nice Canon DSLR. And she was taking pictures. I'm like, oh, my God, these are amazing, Mom. They're so cool. And it really made me want to get into photography and everything. And when I could finally afford a camera, I bought like a Canon 70D crop sensor camera. Myself and Gunnar together, we actually pitched in. We both got it for our radio means and videos and stuff like that. And through radio, I was able to get like passes to shoot rock shows. And the first one I ever shot was an Anthrax show, like up in Grand Forks.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah. Hot start, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing I noticed when I was doing that, I was like, wow, I'm here and all these other, like, I'm in the front. This is so cool. And I'm taking photos like point blank. Like, this is the most amazing thing. And so like from the get-go, it was more of like this is cool, front row access to every show. And then, you know, just like anything in life, once you start doing it and you have the, you know, the mindset of you want to succeed and excel in it, you're like, oh, I want to be really good at this now. And so I just started doing it a ton. And like, I just got really fascinated with music photography, whether it was concerts or band photos. Because there's, you know, you look at all these classic band photos And, you know, the whole classic picture's worth 1,000 words thing, right?
Yep.
But you look at a classic photo of Led Zeppelin with, like, their jet in the background, and, like, talk about 1,000,000 words. You're like, who are these people? How did they get their own plane? What does any of this mean? This is awesome. I just love the personality and the stories that can come out of, like, a good band photo.
Exactly. It's the story that the picture tells. I've always
Yes.
been trying to say that.
Oh, absolutely, man. And, like, I look in this room right now, and if you were to take, like, a wide-angle lens, just snap a shot of it, you could talk about this forever. There's so much to say.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could watch a video, like a 1-minute video about this, and you'd see much more than you'd see in that picture. But you can get more of a conversation out of that picture. And another thing about photos that always blows my mind is that I grew up, like, you know, big sports fan, and I'm still a big sports fan. But you would see video of, like, 80s basketball, Celtics and Lakers or something, and the video just looks terrible. But they show us a photo from that same game, and it looks like it was taken yesterday.
Exactly.
And it's crazy. And
exactly. Why? Well, I know why, but
do you do photography? Because I see you got cameras all over the place here. But are these just for the podcast?
A lady friend does some. She does sports photography. That's why I got the fancy one over there.
Yeah, that's a fast boy right there.
Yeah, she's got the big lenses are upstairs.
Yeah. Well, it's an expensive thing to get into.
Oh my God.
There's no doubt about it. But basically, I left radio because I got a job doing photography and videography for another company, and they put a lot of trust in me to, like, kind of create their image or help create their image and how they're conveyed and everything. And I still work for that company almost 6 years later, but they've afforded me a lot of opportunities. We work out in Sturgis every single year, and I've been doing that for almost 10 years.
Yes, we got to get some Sturgis stories too.
Oh my God. Do you want the Sturgis stories?
Well,
why don't we just shift? You know what? I know that we're on a timetable here, but let's just shift over to the Sturgis thing real quick.
Yeah, let's do that.
What would you like to know about the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally?
Well, my whole thing is that I saw a couple years ago, I had the opportunity to go play on Sturgis, and I've never actually been to Sturgis, so it was kind of, to me, eye-opening at the same time, but yet being able to see, like, how it actually, like, the entertainment got ground through there. And then you were literally, I think, right next to us or a couple doors down.
Wait, I think you sent me a message.
Yeah, and I wanted to catch up with you while we got there, but when you get there, you realize that this place is crazy. There's no way this is going to happen, at least not the way I wanted it to. So, yeah, so we got to do there. We played the side hack. Which
is right next door to where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly.
Iron Horse Saloon.
And, you know, just got to see how old that was. And to me, in my humble opinion, it's basically just like a bunch of retired guys out showing off their toys. That's what it looked like to me. But you might have a whole different perspective of what's going on there.
Well, you're not entirely wrong with that perspective. But if I had to describe the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally to someone who didn't know what they were getting themselves into,
yep,
they hear the word motorcycle, and that freaks most people out from the get-go. Because there's been this perception of what a motorcyclist is, or... You know,
the big bad boys,
yeah. Or, you know, all these motorcycle clubs, which common people call gangs, which is not the case. But, you know, there's all these things in the media for so long that, like, scare people of motorcycles. But when you go to Sturgis, you quickly find out that the motorcycle thing is part of it.
Yeah, it's basically, yeah.
It's an absolute epicenter of entertainment in the summer. I mean, there's so many different venues. The Sturgis Motorcycle Rally itself isn't like one thing. It's a conglomeration of a lot of different venues that host their own entertainment, host their own parties, ranging from the Buffalo Chip, which is really the big one out there. And they get massive acts. I mean, they had a Kid Rock show out there a couple years ago where they say there was over 100,000 people at. They get like...
I believe it.
Yeah, they get like Ozzy. They get... You know, these massive bands. Snoop Dogg performs out there sometimes. And then where I work at, Iron Horse Saloon, we're like probably the nicest music venue in town. We're the largest actual bar in the city of Sturgis. But we have free entertainment. I mean, you can go to all the concerts for free, and we always get really top-tier entertainment. But to someone who has never been to Sturgis, I guess the way I would describe it to you is that at its very core, it is a family-friendly event. It is.
I'll agree with that. There was really not much shenanigans going on around there. Police force was definitely out. You could see what's going on. Everyone seemed to be, you know, helpful with each other. And it's just a lot of stuff going on at the same time. That was my whole thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of noise.
That's true.
But when you just walk around the actual city during the day, there's families, there's kids all over the place. There's just a lot to see and do, beyond motorcycles, which is just like the shiny aspect of it all. But that being said, everyone there is on vacation, so everyone's in a really great mood. And I love that part of it. So if you're worried about going to a bar and getting into a fight or something, probably not going to happen unless you're the dick. But even though it is a family-friendly event, whatever kind of party you're seeking out, you can find there. There's different campgrounds that are known for various things, really seedy areas. And you can have whatever kind of fun you want to have at those. Or you can just lay low at a chill campground. And that's the cool thing about it. There's so many layers to it. It's got something for everybody. And I really think that everybody should check it out at least once.
Oh, you got to check it out. I didn't want to talk anyone out of it, but it's just like, wow.
Now, let me tell you a quick Sturgis story while we're on the topic. Because, like I said, everyone's on vacation. Things happen. People are ripping it up. Whatever. So I'm doing photos one night at a Hairball concert at our venue.
Hairball.
Dude, Hairball rocks.
Shout out to them, yes.
Yeah, they're the best. So I went to the side of the stage just to look at some photos. And a girl came up to me, and she is like dying laughing, like can't speak laughing. And I'm just like, "What's up? What's your deal?" She says, "Someone just took a shit on your camper floor." I just looked at her like, "What?" She goes, "I'm not even kidding. Someone broke into your camper and took a shit on your floor." And like, I didn't even react or anything because I'm like, "What?" So my question to her was, "How do you know?" And she said, "It's a big deal. There's cops over there. It's a fiasco. And where we stay is like right beside the venue. It's really convenient, but really loud." And I go over there, and the guy I was staying with, he's like, "I'm sorry, man. It's true." I'm like, and we're staying in a pop-up camper, dude. It's junk. It's just an old beater. Like, I would wake up in the morning with my feet outside of the camper. Like it was just held together by Velcro, essentially.
Beautiful.
So I guess this girl had been drinking, and my roommate offered her a spot to just like, "Hey, go sober up. Go, you can fall asleep in this camper, and when we're done tonight, I'll wake you up. You can get going, whatever." Well, this girl was wasted, and she had to go to the bathroom, obviously. And it was dark in there. There's no electricity in the pop-up camper, so she's trying to get out, but the door was like locked with like one of those hook locks.
Oh no.
So she couldn't see that, so she just kicked the door down. And when that happened, there was police patrolling that alley, and they walked over and they're like, "What's the commotion?" They went and talked to her, and they're like, "Ma'am, were you just in this camper?" And she's like, "No." And they're flashing their light. They see the pile of shit. And they're like, "Ma'am, can we see your shoes?" She's like, "Why?" Like, just let us see them. Lifts up her shoes. She has poop on her shoes because she stepped in it on her way out.
Got some forensic evidence right there. Nasty.
Yeah. So in classic Sturgis style, the next night she came back to the venue.
Oh.
Like, because, like, if I ever had a night where anything even remotely close happened to that with a night of drinking, I'd be like, "You know what? Let's give it a break for a while. Maybe we'll pick it up later. Maybe we won't." To her, I guess that was just another night because she showed up again the next night at our venue. Wild. But that's just what Sturgis is like. You get crazy stories like that all the time, a lot of which I've probably forgotten, but it's a blast, and everybody should check it out. But just be prepared you're not going to sleep because you're either going to be partying all the time or it's just so loud. I mean, there's motorcycles all day, all night.
It's true. That is true. It was kind of interesting, though, when you see, like, I won't call them the gangs, but like the motorcycle...
The clubs.
Yeah,
man.
and all of a sudden they just come by, and it takes like a good 5-10 minutes before like every single one finally gets by you. And they're going 40-50 miles an hour, right? They're not just putzing around. So I found that amazing. And just the amount of money that was out there was like, oh my Lord.
Oh, man, it's true. There are a lot of people that will just trailer a bike in because they're just like a wealthy person, and they might not ride all the time, but they're going to ride out to Sturgis or drive out to Sturgis and then ride around the Black Hills. You do get a lot of that. But if you're a person that just loves entertainment, going to concerts and just seeing wild things, people watching, which is the best thing in the world, right?
Yes, it is.
There's no better place to do that than Sturgis. There's not.
No, I can't disagree with that. I just can't. Oh, so cool. So let's get back to you a little bit more about like how did you get into music? Because that's how I met you, was just because you were playing guitar at the time, and I mean you're accomplished at the instrument. It's not like you just come in and just kind of know like the GCD chord and yeah, we're gonna play. You could play. So how did that all start, and where did that even come from?
Well, that all goes back to growing up in the middle of nowhere with nothing to do.
Country road.
Yeah, man. So I guess how I really got into music, because everybody loves music, but a lot of people don't know the specific music they like. They're all like, I like everything. No, you don't. Everybody says that. You don't. When I was really young, I don't remember what age, but I remember I was at a wedding dance, and I remember Enter Sandman came on. And I had no idea what that song was. All I know is that it like blew my mind. And all I wanted to do was hear that song. But didn't know what it was, didn't know who it was by. Back then you had to buy the CD. And how could I buy a CD? Because I'm a little kid and I don't know who it was by. CDs, nuts. So my brother was super into music. And honestly, he's the one that like painted the picture of what music was to me. And I remember one time he got this CD. It was an all black cover, and it was Metallica's Black Album. And first song, Enter Sandman. I'm like, that's the song I heard at that wedding. And then just going through that album, like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. So I got super into Metallica at a young age. So what does any kid do when they get into a hard rock band? You got to get a guitar.
Well, yeah. So
that's when I got my guitar, and I started learning. And you know, it's funny, your musical journey, you know, especially when you're into rock music, because like just one thing leads to another. To me, it was Metallica to Led Zeppelin, and then deep dive into Pink Floyd, which I haven't really been able to get out of ever since. I'm just just obsessed with the lore of that band and everything about them. And then, you know, I get into high school, and like now I'm like thinking I'm sophisticated because I like stuff like that. And I'm like, Tool is the greatest band ever. Got really deep into Tool. And then I went to see Tool.
Guilty.
Yeah, I went to see Tool on the Lateralis tour, like 2001.
Lucky! I still haven't seen them live.
Oh, really?
It was them and Slayer I had to see live. Slayer's pretty much off the list now, I think.
It was one of the first concerts I was ever at.
First concert.
Like, my brother was the catalyst of all this, and he would take me to these shows.
Your brother's awesome.
Yeah,
thank you.
He was the man. But then opening up at that Tool show was Meshuggah.
My God.
I walk in here, it's one of the first things I noticed was this Meshuggah album you have up here. And so, is that like the Nothing Special Edition, or what is that?
I can't remember.
I think it is, because
Nothing Special Edition.
Yeah, because the OG one is like orange and fiery, and that one's got the blue thing. So Meshuggah comes out, and I never heard anything like that in my life. Which, still, Meshuggah is like probably the most influential band in the world of metal of the past 20 years.
Oh, yeah. It's because they can play everything live that they put on that record. It's freaking crazy.
They are robots. So then, you know, that takes you into a whole new realm of hard, heavy metal, and then progressive metal. And I got super into Dream Theater, and like that is just where I'm at with it these days. I just get really into like progressive stuff. So I started playing guitar through all of that, and you know, when you get into bands like that, you have a tendency to put the cart ahead of the horse, and like you start running before you walk. So
never happens.
I just wanted to shred and shred and shred, and I missed out on a lot of the basics of guitar, but boy, I could shred. But you know, I just played with friends in college, and once I moved to Fargo, I got hooked up like with you, and we put together a band for a little bit, and then I just got busy with life, and it just didn't work out anymore. And I've always played at home, but it wasn't until just recently I was like, you know what, I need to get back into that, because music is just good for you. It's good for your mentals. It's good for your creativity.
Soul cleansing.
Yeah, it's a great hobby, and it's something that's fun to just, you know, you can see yourself get better. And there's not many things in life that you can just do for 15 to 20 minutes a day, and the next day you're like, I feel like I'm 15% better than I was yesterday. It's really interesting.
It's that nice endorphin drip.
Yeah.
It keeps going, yeah.
Like, but with you and like drums and everything, I mean, did you get into that at a young age, or was that something you picked up later on?
My story about getting into drums is, I've said this multiple times on this, but it's fine. I'll say it again. I went into doing the little band thing, you know, what they did in 6th grade. You went in for your little tryout deal. And I wanted to play saxophone. I had nothing to do with the damn drums. I wanted to play saxophone. So that guy at the end of the Muppet Show, just, I love that sound. Yep. And lo and behold, they knew that everyone wants to come in. Everyone wants to play saxophone and drums. So they were trying all sorts of ways to like discourage you from doing that. And one of the ways they put like a chunk of bark on that mouthpiece, so you couldn't make a sound on it at all. So of course I couldn't make a sound on that. And then I had piano lessons before that, so they threw out like a bunch of rhythms, and just like, can you play these rhythms? And I'm like, yeah, why can't anyone play these? It didn't even dawn on me that, this is something that, I was trained to do, at least younger wise. And they're just like, oh my gosh, you got to play percussion. And my mom and the band director kind of pushed me into the drums at the time. And here I am a million years later, still playing the dang things. Like I said, my next lifetime I'm playing flute. There's way too much gear out there. So.
Oh, but you're a kick-ass drummer, dude. You really are. Like,
I appreciate that. I'm working on it.
When I first started that band with you, like, I didn't even know who you were, and I was like, oh, this guy can go. Okay, like, you can play anything, and that's there's nothing better than being able to show up to practice and you know that, like, my parts are, but this guy, he's going to be on, so, like, I need to bring it. And that was you, so.
I didn't know I had that.
You got the chops, man.
Influence on you like that.
Oh,
you just came in, just fucking did it. I just loved it.
Because I had to do it because I had to keep up. But no, I actually started with piano lessons too, like you were saying. Yeah. And I hated them as a kid. I feel like everybody hates them because at the time it's like something that you don't want to do. And then when you get to college, you're like, God damn it, I wish I would have paid more attention in piano lessons.
That's exactly how it goes, yeah.
Yeah, so I've still dabbled with the piano every now and then, but not nearly as much as guitar. And I still love playing guitar, and I'm just like really fascinated by great guitar players because there's so much technique and so much practice, and like nobody can just pick up a guitar and be John Petrucci. Like you have to, not even John Petrucci, you have to work at it. And I admire people who put in the time, not only to that, but to any craft, because that's the key to everything is just hard work.
Yeah. It's so basic, but yes, it's exactly it. But we got to get to our weekly report here, so I'm going to give you this question here, Chow.
Weekly report? What's this segment all about?
You'll see this in just a moment. We get to talk about like where everyone's playing this weekend, at least in town, a little bit out of town. But if you could play with any band, local or national, what band would it be? And I'm going to make you think about that here for a moment. So, say that we miss you, man. We're going uptown right away at the Windbreaker at Rhyme on Thursday, some city cover bands Friday, and Slamabama taking in the new year on Saturday, all at the Windbreaker. Southtown Porterhouse and Grand Forks Tripwire on Friday, and October Road Saturday, bringing in the new year. I'm not going to say that every single time. At the Shooting Star Casino, we got Lucas Haug, I think that's how we do that. Friday and Saturday out at the Mustang Lounge. Going to the Acoustic Corner Wednesday tonight. Matt Ockery is literally blocks away from here. I was just telling Chow about that. Yeah, good. I was just telling Chow about that Matt Ockery was actually in this position last year, so he was the last one of 2021. So go check out that podcast. On Thursday, tomorrow, we got Abraham Taveras Jr. I think it's the first time I've seen that name, so sorry if I messed it up. At JC Chumley's. Then Friday, we got Terry Mackner, Murphy's Pub, Pepper Ashmer at Troll Lounge, and Rick Adams at the Vic's Lounge. That's the first time I've seen an advertising for Vic's Lounge. So cool.
It's been probably 50 years since I've had a show.
I'm glad they have stuff going on.
Bring it back.
Exactly. Saturday, we have Michael Morris at Mills Lounge, Amy Klein's at the Unwind, we had Jim White at the Rounded Saloon, Rick Berg at the Silver Spike, and then Sunday we have a Winter Acoustic Fest at the Murphy's Pub again. I forgot who that's hosted by, but I apologize for that. I should have wrote that down in my notes. Downtown with Front Street Tap and Vinyl and Vino tomorrow night, and open mic night with Travis Niros on Monday the 2nd. The Cellar, we have open mic with Mark Ray Belcher happening tonight. If you're working on your 15 minutes for stand-up comedy, go on and hit the Cellar. DFW and Fargo, we have Stella Friday and Saturday, and then Rick's. We have Anomic, Empire of Delirium, Artificial Dopamine, and Tailspin bringing in the new year at Rick's. So thank you, Rick's, for having some more music. Bring it back, bring it back. 42nd Street Delta, we have Kathy and the 42nd Street Jazz Band on New Year's Eve. Dempsey's, we have open mic with Dina Powers tomorrow night. Deb Jenkins on Friday, and the Deadbeats on Saturday night. JC Chumley's 2 weeks notice hitting stage on Saturday the 31st, and M&J, DJ and the Atomics again on Saturday the 31st, and Tailgater's 3rd Street Blues Band.
Yeah.
That's on Saturday the 31st. And that's all we have for you this week's Weekly Report. So now back to Chow.
Dude, that's so cool you do that.
So,
I always tell people that there is so much going on around you that if you can't find something to do, then you're just not trying.
Exactly.
That was
just keep
true.
trying to push it out.
That's
so.
a really cool segment.
Thank you. Let's get my thing from quit dinging here. All right. So, band. Which band would you want to be a part of?
Guar, probably.
Yes.
No, when you first asked me that question, there was 2 bands that
Is
came
it going to be
mind.
Guar with Urungus or the new Guar?
Oh, well, I would love to perform with Odorous.
Yes.
You know, whatever planet he may be on these days. Just smoking crack as he does.
Poor guy.
But there would be no band that would be more fun to just perform in than Guar, that's for sure.
I got to give my Guar story because the top 3 bands or 3 shows I've ever seen, Guar ranks number 3. I'll give it. I can't take Vi. Can't take Vi out a second. But the first one was Plant and Page in '94.
Oh, sweet!
My gosh, blow your hair.
That's so cool.
But Guar was number 3, and the only reason why I went to it is because we used to make fun of it all the time. That name Guar, it's stupid. We wear costumes. Now, went to the show at the Pavilion or Playmakers Pavilion. That was before the venue.
Yeah.
It used to be just a barn. We walked in there and they literally had these plastic bags over chandeliers. And I was like, what the hell is about to happen? And that show, my word, from the first chord onto the end, they did not miss the groove. I saw the guitar player take a high top shoe straight to the chest. Didn't miss a beat. The place was just electric. The pit never stopped. Them bleeding all over you. I think that helped out, just like cooling you down or whatever else. But oh my God, yeah, the show was just beyond. It was awesome.
Guar is great. Even in their new incarnation, they're still awesome. But if I was going to be in a traditional band, one that I would love to be in is Gojira. I
am not familiar. You have to explain. I'm sorry.
Well, Gojira is a French band, and in my opinion, they're probably the biggest modern metal band right now. Of bands in the metal world that have kind of taken off in the last 10 years, Gojira to me is it. You want to talk about that groove and just a pounding beat. That band has it all. And Gojira is actually, it's supposed to be like, you know, in Japan, Godzilla, but they're like, Gojira! That's how they got their name. And it's appropriate because their sound is just huge.
Gigantic.
They even have a song called The Heaviest Matter of the Universe. And I mean, that should just be what their sound is described as. Gojira, check them out.
I'm checking that out as soon as we're done with this. So the first thing I'm gonna pop up on YouTube. Sweet. Well, let's get into what's going on nowadays. What are you up to besides photography? Are you just doing photography now, or is it a mix of stuff?
My full-time job is I work in marketing for this company I've worked with for 6 years, and I do, photography and videography and basically internet marketing with social media. And I'm kind of a spokesperson, I guess. I do TV spots on local news stations around the U.S. and stuff like that. So that's great. I love that job. It's fun. I get to see the country. I get to meet a ton of people, and I love everybody I work with. And then on my own time, I do a lot of freelance photo and video. A lot of it is music-based. I have the occasional wedding and things like that, but I've gone on a couple tours the last couple years with Cherry Bombs and Corey Taylor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and God, what a great group of people, and what a super talented and just generous, fantastic group of people. I love those guys. Like, they're so great. We just went to England and Wales. We did a little UK run back in October.
Lucky.
That's the first and only time I've been overseas ever, so that was a really cool experience. And because of music and everything we've been talking about, that's what afforded me that opportunity.
Exactly.
The power of music. It's made me a lot of friends, and it's given me a lot of cool opportunities. And shout out to all those people. through all the years that have gotten me into that music and that have taken me on these trips and given me these opportunities. But that's basically what I'm doing now, is just bouncing around doing freelance stuff. I'm on the road a lot. Still call Fargo, North Dakota home, though. Even in this cold, treacherous winter, there's something about this area that we all like struggle with at this time of year, because it is.
Oh, yeah.
It's you survive the winter and that's it. Like nobody
like
thrives in the winter. You survive it.
Survive.
But it's a great hub. There's good people. There's always something to do, as you showed up there on the screen. So I still do really like it here, but I'm gone just enough where I don't get tired of it. You know, I'm lucky. I'm very fortunate. I get to travel a lot. So yeah, that's what's going on.
But you sent me a lot of pictures. I almost forgot about them. I was just loving the conversation.
Oh, man.
So we got to get to some of these, because
These
some
are
of
just
these
totally
need
random photos.
explanations. So
Okay.
right there, if you can
Well,
get a
that's-
close up onto that, if you're looking on your big screen, that is one of the freakiest things I've ever seen. These
That's Corey Taylor Slipknot. That was the
pointing
first
straight at you.
show of their tour here. Their 2022 tour kicked off in Fargo at the Fargo Dome, and that was just a cool shot, and it was cool to see Corey again, because that was the first time I'd seen him since we had worked together the prior summer. So
Nice.
that's the cool thing about photography. It's just a moment in time. It was like hey, like there we both are.
And you captured it.
Yeah, man.
It's beautiful. Yes, it is.
Oh, that's the Cherry Bombs right there. Those are my homegirls.
There we go.
They are incredible performers. If you're ever looking for like a rock and roll, heavy metal, Cirque style Vegas show with fire and acrobatics and just killer music.
Serious.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what Cherry Bombs were all about. And that was us in Swansea, Wales.
That's when they brought you across the pond.
This one was, I think, for my first day back at radio. When I came back a couple years ago. Because I was done with radio for like 4 years or 3, I don't know, a few years, and then they asked me to come back part-time, and I was like, you know what? I helped make that station, and it's kind of near and dear to my heart, so let's do it. So that was my return to radio photo.
In full effect, yes.
Oh, boy.
See,
Look
he
at
actually
look
looks
at the
like
spice.
a gentleman here, yeah.
Look at the spice. Oh, that's from my home office. I think I sent that to you as a promo photo, and that's a picture I just took from my website, danvirchow.com. Check it out. Book today.
It's in the down below.
There's Papa from Ghost, or that was Cardinal Copia from Ghost. I love that band. Have you seen Ghost?
I've seen videos and such.
Oh, man. I take back what I said about Gojira. It's another G band, maybe Ghost. All the G bands rule. But no, they're probably the biggest rock band of the last 10 years. They've really blown up. They're a big deal now, and they deserve it. It's a great gimmick, it's a great concept, and it's great music, which is really all that matters.
Exactly.
That was a shot of what you can see Corey and Alicia from Cherry Bombs there. That was in London at the London Palladium. Legendary venue, super cool.
Wow.
And I was just in the background of that one. You can see me up on the drum set with the full extension, man. I should have sent
get the right angle.
I should have sent another photo. There was one from the crowd of that, which was just, or it was my shot of looking that way, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, there was a cool combo. That was Cherry Bomb show a couple months ago that was maybe Hull? I can't really tell from here, but that was in northern England, I think.
Oh, nice.
Man, those England people love to rock. The English. And deservedly, they have some of the greatest bands of all time from there, so they know what they're doing. And they know what's good. They have great taste.
Of course. Of course. This kind of reminds me of the hairball stuff that they always do. We got to actually open for them almost a year ago. A little less. And I think we're opening up for them in July again, so no, but they bring crowds sort of like this.
Yeah, well, Hairball show is over the top.
Oh, God.
They're
such nice guys, too.
Great dudes. Cool. Great dudes, awesome show. That was just another one from the recent tour. That was Corey Taylor's band and Cherry Bombs together. That one is in Wales. Big crowd, sold
with
out.
all the confetti.
Yeah.
There's
Papa again from Ghost and my buddy Steve-O, one of my main dudes. That was this fall in Appleton. That was in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We went to catch up, hadn't seen each other in a couple years, and it seems like we always meet up for Ghost shows. So, once again, the power of music, bringing people together.
It always does.
That was me and Rob Zombie at Ozfest 2002 in Somerset, Wisconsin.
Nice. Can you believe that was 20 years ago?
Woof.
Yeah, what happened?
That's the first time I ever saw real boobs in person. Those are my two memories from that day. Meeting Rob Zombie and seeing boobs. But I got to meet him, little 14-year-old me, just by buying his latest CD, which at the time I believe was The Sinister Urge.
Oh.
It was like $14 and it said you get a free meet and greet with it. I'm like, what? So like when you're a super nervous kid, like I had never met anyone famous, and Rob Zombie, like this is his peak. He was so big at that point in time. And like, what do you say? So I went up to him and I'm like, have a good show. Got this picture snapped on my disposable camera, and that was that.
Oh man, just how it works.
Oh, that was another shot from England. That was at a horror convention, actually.
Oh, what?
Super cool.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Nice.
the guests of honor at that convention were Corey and the Cherry Bombs and David Arquette and
David Arquette's nice.
the guy who is Terrifier, the clown movie now that's all popular in the horror world.
Okay.
That guy was there in his costume and everything. And dude, the saxophone guy from the Lost Boys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was there. He performed. It was awesome.
So it wasn't all just movie magic.
No. That guy still got it. Still lathers himself up in Crisco or something, gets all oiled up there, plays the sax.
Oh, man.
No wonder you wanted to play sax. You saw the Lost Boys and you're like, I still believe.
It didn't hurt. It was part of it.
That was with Opeth. That was when I was probably like 15 or 16 in Minneapolis.
Let's see. So the baby face going there.
Man, I loved Opeth growing up, and I still do. But like their music, I got the Blackwater Park album and the Deliverance album, and I had never heard anything like that. This was like right after I got into Meshuggah, so I'm like deep diving into heavy music.
Yes.
And Opeth was it for me because they had the great melodic, soft stuff, and then just the banging death metal. I mean,
They bring out the tension. Yes.
oof, I still play those albums way too much.
Never.
This is a shot my buddy got in Sturgis. I do emceeing out at Iron Horse Saloon in Sturgis too. I do the photo and video, and I do the mic work too. I don't know what I'm holding in that picture. Kind of looks like a bra, but it's probably not. Also, this could be during the pandemic.
Oops.
Could be a mask. I'm not sure. But
Oh,
yeah, it looks
yeah.
like we're back at the start there. So
Yeah.
those are just totally random photos that were in my camera roll. You just said to send some photos, and that's what I had on hand.
Exactly, because you usually get some nice side stories that you probably never think about.
Sorry I
before.
didn't get a picture of the pile of crap on my camper floor. in
Yeah, no
Sturgis,
kidding.
But,
Still,
that's just the way it is.
But for another good story here, we got our off the roof for this week. So you ready for a little juvenile destruction?
What's going on here?
Oh, let's check it out. So these are recycled because the driveway doesn't look like it.
This looks like an old CKY video. What was that? Is that a plate?
Might have been. Me and my iMovie editing knowledge.
It's just
Yeah,
look at all the camera angles. It's amazing. Careful.
This is elevator.
Off the roof. That is a proper use of sound effects right there.
Perfect game too. You're hired. And there we go. And you might be going, what was that all about? Well, I grew up in this house and I bought it for my dad a million years ago. And we rehearsed in this house at one point in time. And we still do rehearsals and everything else here. But we used to have the nice raging parties that'd go on. And inevitably, someone would be on the roof and would be throwing random electronics off just to watch things explode. This place is kind of anarchy for a while. It still looks like anarchy here if you actually think about it. But
Hey, there's nothing better than some simple destruction.
exactly, it's satisfying. Satisfying as all get out. So if you have anything you want to see destroyed, we'll destroy it for you. Throw it in my yard or get a hold of us. We'll come and pick it up for you.
I want you to throw a bathtub off of the
A
roof. Off
bathtub.
the roof.
You missed. We have one. We actually threw a sink off the roof.
Damn
so
it.
a bathtub. Challenge accepted. We're
Okay.
gonna find a way to how to make that happen. So
Just a couple strong boys, man. That's all it takes.
So that's how that story goes. So we're just keeping the tradition alive, just throwing random junk off the roof and, videotaping and make a good old 60-second plot about something that lasted less than 3. So, so that's all that works. All right. Well, we're basically running low on time here, Mr. Chow. We're definitely got to have you back on because there's too many.
This is
stories
fun, man.
We haven't even
No,
dipped our toe into.
You got a little synopsis, just a little taste.
Exactly.
It's been a wild and wacky few years for me, man.
So if you have anything coming up or you have anything you want to promote or, just how to get a hold of you, we have a lot of the links down below.
Oh, sweet. Well, danvirchow.com is my website, just kind of a portfolio of sorts. You can see some of my work, and if you're interested, you can contact me on there. My email address is on there. Also, follow me on Instagram, @danvirchow is my handle on there. Honestly, Instagram is how I get most of my jobs.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. So
I gotta work more on Instagram.
Yeah, so if you're ever questioning if you should be on Instagram or not, make sure you're doing that. As for upcoming things, there's a lot of upcoming things. I'm not even sure where to start. I think I'm going to Vegas next week for some work.
Beautiful.
And doing some work with some local bands coming up. There's just on the way here, I was on the phone with somebody about doing another job. So there's your calendar of events. I'm working some of those shows. So hopefully I'll see you out there. And I just want to say, I've been wanting to tell somebody this for a while, but just never a good time because, I've been very fortunate the past few years, and I've gotten to do things that I never could have imagined that I would ever get to do growing up on a small farm in South Dakota in the middle of nowhere. But I found through my travels and meeting all these great people and seeing all these cool things, you can accomplish your goals in life and you can achieve your dreams, whatever that may be. But in the end, I don't think there's anything better than just having a good time with your friends, whatever that may be. If you're just hanging out, just good shared experiences, that's the pinnacle of life. And I'm lucky that I got to do those with my friends in cool places. But even just at home, just kicking it with a friend or something, there's nothing better in life. So make sure you call up your friends and hang out as much as you can. Maybe this weekend. It's New Year's this weekend. But that's the best. Good times with good friends.
Exactly. Can't say it any better. But thank you for being on, Chow. That was awesome. Oh, man. I can't wait to have you back on.
Let's do it.
So much fun. But you can find us on all the ticky-tacks and the Instagrams and everything, all of that in between at Uptown Tonight Podcast. Or else you can find us at uptownbandfargo.com, and there you can find out what's happening with the band and the podcast and all the other fun stuff. If you have anything you want to see us destroy or whatever else, if you can subscribe, and share this
bathtub,
even the best of bathtub, yes. But remember, if your drummer has more charisma than your front man, band may be in trouble.
Oh,
but that's why my band's doing just fine. So until next time.
It's just a little baby turtle. Look at him go.